All right, so now we're going to talk about solving polar equations. And we're going from rectangular equations to polar equations. So the first thing we want to do is replace x with r cosine theta and y with r sine theta, and then we'll solve for r. So let's just jump into some examples here. So we have x plus y equals 5. So the first thing that I'm going to do is replace this with r cosine theta plus r sine theta equals 5. I can pull my r out. And I can divide by that on the other side. So we want to solve for r, remember? And there's our equation with r equals. Let's look at our next one. Again, we're replacing, so we have 3r cosine theta minus r sine theta equals 6. Pull out our r. And there's our equation. Next one, we have these terms squared now, so it's a little bit tougher. So we have x squared, so r squared cosine squared theta plus r sine theta plus 1 squared equals 1. I need to FOIL all of that out, so I have r squared cosine squared theta plus r squared sine squared theta plus 2r sine theta plus 1 equals 1. Well, I can subtract 1 from both sides, and I can pull out my r squared here. And this, we know, is equal to 1. So I have r squared and r, so I can pull out an r, and I have r plus 2 sine theta equals 0. And so I have r equals 0, and r equals negative 2 sine theta. Now this, remember I said r equals 0 is just the pole. That's the kind of like the origin. And then this is our equation. And that's the end of that example. So that was practicing going from rectangular equations to polar. Now we're going to go the other way. So now we have polar equations. We want to turn them into rectangular equations. And again, this is a little bit tougher, but it's not too bad. And these are some of the strategies we can try. We can try squaring both sides. We can use an identity. We can take tangent of both sides, and we can multiply both sides by r. Those are the tools that we're going to have at our disposal here. So the first example, we're going to square both sides. And the reason why I want to do that is because I have an r here, and I know that I have r squared is equal to x squared plus y squared. So I want to use that. So I have r squared equals 5 squared. And r squared I can replace with x squared plus y squared, and 5 squared is 25. And now it's a rectangular equation. That one was pretty easy. The next one, we have r equals 3 cosecant theta. Well, r equals 3 over sine theta is the same thing. And I can multiply by sine theta on both sides, so I have r sine theta equals 3. And this is just y. So y equals 3. And now it's a rectangular equation. Let's look at this next example here. We have r equals negative 6 cosine theta. I'm going to try multiplying by r on both sides, because if I have an r right here, then I can turn that into an x. If I have r squared here, I can turn that into x squared plus y squared. So I'm going to multiply by r. So r squared equals negative 6r cosine theta. and r squared becomes x squared plus y squared equals -6, and that becomes an x. So I can do x squared, I can add 6x on both sides, and I'm going to put a little box here. And the reason why I'm doing that is I'm going to use completing the square. So my b value divided by 2 squared would be 9, and I'm adding 9 to both sides. So this becomes x plus 3 squared plus y squared equals 9. And that is a rectangular equation in standard form. And that actually brings us to the end of section 3.